Have you ever had setback after setback after setback? And oh my gosh, then you're so overwhelmed. And then you think, you know what? I just got to be mentally more tough. Well, what if that wasn't the answer? What if it was really more about how do you boost happiness and really reduce disappointments? Two little secret sauces. And that's what we're going to talk about today, Lisa, on the Drama Free Living Podcast. So welcome to the Drama Free Living Podcast. If you haven't been here before, we're glad you're here. And today we want to introduce this concept that was really made very popular by Dr. Dan Siegel. And so we'll put his information there in the show notes and you can maybe learn more about it. But we want to kind of talk about this idea of window of tolerance. And Lisa, you've really become a real student and expert at it. So when I say it, I want you to, think about like, what does that mean to you? And Lisa, I'd love your thoughts on it. So maybe just explain it to everybody what we're even talking about.
Okay. So window of tolerance, I don't think I'm an expert. I got really curious about it. So basically your window of tolerance is how you interact on your day-to-day, how calm and confident you feel as opposed to how stressed out and freaked out you are any given day and how long those periods of freaking out last. It's essentially like you're driving down the road and there's a car that he starts to swerve into your lane and you pull over and I mean, it's really close. It's really close to a car accident and your heart rate is up, your brain is freaking out and you pull over to the side of the road and you just have to like calm down a little bit before you can get your mental capacity back to be able to finish your drive. That tenseness of, oh my gosh, I was almost completely smashed. And what that is then you have to go about your day and you go on to work and you recover and you get back to your stuff. And by a few hours in, you've completely forgotten about that incident.
Well, Lisa, isn't it kind of like it's your brain's bandwidth? And
yeah.
Right? Isn't that sort of what it is?
It's not just your brain's bandwidth, it's your body's bandwidth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because when you're flooded like that, your inner self completely takes your brain offline.
Right.
So it's your brain's bandwidth because your body just completely took your brain offline. And so then but what your window tolerance is if you've got a wide window of tolerance, then you're resilient and you're resourceful, and you can get almost sideswiped on the interstate and go on and have a really great day. But if your window of tolerance is narrow, you have a limited capacity to handle that stress. Yeah. And so you almost get sideswiped on the interstate and then you're blowing up at your coworker and you can't settle down because your heart rate is up, your blood pressure is up all day. Your kids call and they have to be picked up from school because they get sick and you cannot handle it. You are maxed out. You are at your limit because your window of tolerance is narrower. And so stuff like this happens to us any given day. And a lot of it is stuff that we can't handle. Well, the wider our window of tolerance is, the more we can handle the stuff that life throws at us.
And Lisa, isn't it like almost like your ability to recover?
Yes.
Right? It's like you pop up above your window of tolerance, but your ability to recover. And do you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about our experience at Orange Theory.
I knew that was coming.
Right. Yeah. Well, so Lisa and I have been, and we're not experts at all, but we've jumped into Orange Theory for about the last month. And I think what I enjoy about it is this game that I play to try to like regulate my heart. Right? I try to regulate my heartbeat, right? So when it gets into the red, how quick can I get it back into, say, the orange or even like into the green? And how do I go from orange even to blue? So if you're an Orange Theory person, you know what I'm talking about, right? But how do I quickly sort of like recover? Because that's where the real strength and the real endurance is in the ability to recover. It's not in the stressful times, but it's in the ability to recover. And I think that's how it also works like emotionally.
Right.
Right. It's not in those stressful times, but it's in your ability to recover. And I think that's really kind of the secret sauce of why we wanted to chat about this.
Right. And so really what the window of tolerance is it's this space in your life. If you picture a window, it's like where the actual panes of the window are, and it's where you function effectively. It's where you feel in balance, you feel in control, you feel kind of powerful. You're like, I've totally got this.
Yeah.
And things happen. You almost get sideswiped by a car and you kind of go up. You go up and you start to feel a little anxious and you're on that edge of being dysregulated, but you're still in control, but you're feeling anxious. Well, then if you continue to go up, you go into what they call hyperarousal. And basically it's like your thoughts are racing, you're panicked, you're angry, you go into this fight or flight, you go into this, oh my gosh, this is just too much.
Yeah.
And when as long as we stay up there, we can't be back into this main level of functioning effectively, taking our challenges on. We have to wait until we kind of get back down and we come slowly come back down, back into what we call our window of tolerance, where we're back into this, hey, I've totally got this, or you can go down and you can go down on this window of tolerance. And when you kind of get on the edge, you start to shut down and you start to detach. And then if you keep going down more dysregulated, you get into what they call hypoarousal. And that's kind of a depressed state. It's a shutdown state. It's numb. A lot of people during COVID, they kind of went into hypoarousal. They just went into withdrawn, mode. And it's where they say, it's your freeze or your fawn state. And during life, during any given day, maybe even during an hour, we're going up and we're going up towards that anxiousness and then we're coming back down. It's kind of like a roller coaster. We're going up and then we're coming back down and then we go on the verge of shutting down. Well, that's fine. That is totally normal. What becomes a problem is when we go up and we keep going up and we keep going up and we keep, it's like you're on that roller coaster and it's, and the slower it goes, the higher up you go and you're like, oh my gosh, here it comes. And then it's just this explosion. And that's really what this is, or going down to the point where you just completely shut down and you shut yourself off from family, you shut yourself off from friends, and you really stop feeling. And so, but the thing is the wider that our window of tolerance is, the more this roller coaster effect of life stays within
our tolerance. This
feeling of being, I'm in control, I'm being calm, and we can handle higher highs and we can handle higher lows and just stay in this. And so there's like 4 different ways that you can stay within your window of tolerance, or that you can increase your window of tolerance. And we're going to talk about 2 of them today. And we're going to talk about increasing our joy. We're talking about decreasing shame. We're talking about mindfulness, and then we're talking about increasing resilience.
Yeah, Lisa, isn't this idea with window of tolerance, when it's really narrow, you really have a limited capacity to handle reality?
You do.
Right. And I think growing leadership is really your ability to handle the demands of reality. And a lot of times people, gosh, I know this happens to me. I get into fantasy. Right, I get into the shoulds. Well, it shouldn't be this way, and it should be this, and it should be this. And
when you're outside of your window of tolerance,
it's like I'm in this fantasy world, and then I'm irritated, discontent, restless. Right, I have all of these things happen. Where I think the real question is, because this stuff comes from the inside. And I think here's the problem. A lot of people try to blame it on the outside circumstances, or I think if my circumstances would just change, if I can just fix this person, if I can just fix this, if I can just all these things on the outside, things that you can't control that are outside of your locus of control, when you realize like, hey, this doesn't come from the outside, it comes from the inside. We were talking to a group of nurses in New Mexico this past week, Lisa, and one thing we were talking about frustration. And the fact that frustration doesn't come from the outside, it comes from the inside. And
they have a lot of life-threatening events that happen.
Absolutely.
But how they handle it themselves is the key to how they go forward.
Well, and here's how we know it's true is because, I'm 55 and there were things at 25 that used to frustrate me that don't frustrate me at 55.
Because you've increased your window of tolerance, and so you can handle those experiences.
Those things still happen. It still happens, but it doesn't irritate me, and it doesn't I don't blow up about them. I don't lose my cool. I don't get depressed about them. Where when I was 25, it would just throw me off track.
Yeah.
And I think what happens many times, and we've drawn this on a board with people, is where we draw it like in a box, a window of tolerance. And when an event happens that's so big outside of your box, bigger than your box, that's where it really becomes a problem. And it's almost like, but when you have a really large window of tolerance, some of these small problems, they don't throw you off. There's still issues, but you're able to really transform them.
Yeah. And with window of tolerance, it can increase with age and experience, like you were saying, 25 to 55, but it also increases and decreases within seasons. So we went through a season a couple years back where there was a lot of tragic life things that were happening within our family. And at that time, my window of tolerance decreased. And I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew my window of tolerance.
I think that's the thing. That's the key thing. You knew it, right?
I knew my window of tolerance was decreased. I needed to just really kind of come back in, when you are at end of life and your body is beginning to shut down, all of the blood comes into the core of the body to the internal organs. It's a natural life function that because the body is trying to keep itself alive, it's trying to keep the heart and the lungs alive. And so really that's essentially because there was all of this crazy happening around me. I kind of came into this center. It's like going down into hypoarousal. It's going down into a more a numbing, but in this sense, it was a healthy and necessary. My window of tolerance was narrower because there was just so much happening that I just didn't have that capacity. But I recognized it. I could say no. I could say yes. I could say, listen, sorry, I'm just not doing very well today. And it was okay. But then as with time, and as that season of our life came to an end and we got farther from it, my window of tolerance was wider again. And then because I was able to process through these difficult things, it became even wider on a permanent basis because I'd been through some experiences and I learned how to live with it and deal with it and be happy and productive even when stuff goes wrong.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be true of you, Lisa, to say like the first step is like you recognized it, right? You knew where it was at, and then you stepped back, and then the question is like, well, how do I grow this window of tolerance?
Then I stepped back and I said, what do I need right now? What do I need?
And I think
meeting that need. And then once that need was met, I could get to that point of, okay, how can I grow this?
Okay, so that's a great sort of like lesson, I think, for leaders to really learn from your experiences, like really recognize where your window of tolerance is at, right? And then ask yourself, well, what do you need? Right? And then once you get that need met, right, and be honest with you what you need. Right? Maybe you need, some time off. Maybe you need to pull away. Maybe you need to step back.
Maybe you need to step in and just work.
Maybe you need to be challenged. Right? But really being honest with yourself, because honesty creates freedom, right? And then getting that need back, and then and then going, okay, I'm filled up now. How do I continue to grow? And it really is truly so, because I've seen this in your life, is that there are things that happen that used to freak you out 30 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah. And even today, right? Something happened as we were driving in and you took a minute, and I think that would have freaked you out, 15, 20 years ago. And I'm so proud of you. That was really amazing. Yeah. So we want to talk about like, how do we do this?
So 2 of the ways that you can increase your window of tolerance. Now, this could be when you're in the minute, when you're in the intensity of it, or this could be just in general, just to give yourself more of a space of, hey, I totally got this and I can handle more. And 2 of the ways we're going to cover today are increasing your happiness and reducing your shame. And so with increasing your happiness, okay, there are chemicals in our body. There's dopamine, there's oxytocin, there's serotonin, and there's endorphins. And we need all of those. These things increase our happiness. And there are very simple activities that you can do to increase these. So to increase your you want to do something like check off a to-do list. Just do something, get it done.
Oh, nothing feels better, right? Nothing feels better.
Okay. I actually I fed the dog. Check.
Yeah.
It's really small. It didn't take a lot, but it felt like an accomplishment. And that boosts up your dopamine. Well, or there's your oxytocin. A way to boost your oxytocin would be just physical touch. Give your dog a hug.
Give your hog a duck.
Give your hog a dog. Yeah, or you could give your hog a duck.
You could do that too.
Give your dog a hug.
Do whatever you want to do.
Give your spouse or your children a hug.
Or socialize.
Socialize.
Get out.
Go out and play mahjong at night with a group of people. Or Dennis, you could go play pickleball. Just those kind of things boost your oxytocin. Being in connection with another human. Don't socialize. Don't socialize online. Don't hug your iPad. Just go and be with a human, and then you can boost your serotonin levels. And boosting your serotonin levels increases happiness in you, and it's things like sunshine. It's cold plunges. It's infrared saunas. It's different things that are physically affect you. I know for me, when the sun rises and it's a sunny day, I just immediately, my serotonin levels go, through the roof.
Yeah.
Cloudy day, I'm like, oh crap, it's cloudy. And that's just me and my humanness with sunshine. But that produces happiness in me.
Yeah.
And then the other chemical, the endorphins, laughter. When life is really tough, that is when you put away your murder mystery books.
Yeah.
And that's when you put away your thriller movies and you pull out the comedians.
Yeah.
And you pull out the lighthearted. I go through phases. You know what phase of life I'm in by what fiction books I'm reading. If I am strictly doing a beach read book, it's been it's just been a little bit stressful. But when I can handle more of a thriller book or a spy type of a thing, then it's like, oh, okay. I can tell, my window of tolerance is larger because I can handle the stress of that. But we just like laughter. Spicy foods boost your endorphins. So, go eat some kimchi because kimchi's great. And also it's really good for your gut, but that's another thing. So increasing your happiness, doing things intentionally to increase your happiness is, those are some ways, one of the ways to, just widen your window of tolerance, either permanently, like just in general to make it larger, or when you just know, I just don't have it right now, doing some of those things to kick yourself up.
Yeah, Lisa, I've discovered that happiness is an inside job, not an outside job, right? And I think a little bit, Americans sometimes got maybe a tough deal with this because we learned from Thomas Jefferson, right? He said Declaration of Independence, he said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I thought, well, that's a pretty bad pursuit, right? If you're always pursuing happiness, and I think it's this idea that I'm happy right now and I'm getting happier. My happiness is continuing to increase. And I don't think it's a pursuit, but it's something that sort of happens on the inside because it really has nothing to do with the outside. At least I was just thinking about some things that some practices we have, put in place is the dance off.
Yes, I learned this from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, right, is that it'll be 5, 6 o'clock, especially on really stressful days or days where it's like, boy, tough things have happened, and you'll just look at me and say, hey, it's time for a dance-off.
Or I'll just put on the music. Spotify's great. I've got my feel-good happy mix that they've put together for me based on my listening preferences. And I just put on my feel-good happy mix and I put it through all of our Sonos throughout the house and I play it loud. And then
then we just dance.
And it's not pretty. It is not pretty.
Yeah, we do not record our dance-offs.
It just really helps boost those chemicals within our bodies.
Yeah.
And you could feel the stress just melting off. And after a 3-minute song, it's like, okay, that felt better.
Yeah. And there's practical things that you can do. I know at times, Lisa, you've looked at me and said, hey, you need to go for a run. And it's like the days that I don't want to run are the days I need to run. Right. And then I complain and go, no, I'm not going to run. You like me, no, go for a run right now. Well, leave the house. A run.
It's more like, have you gone for a run today? Are you planning on going for a run? Would a run feel good right now?
I know.
And then it slowly gets, and then I'm like, no, seriously, please go for a run. Please just help all of us and just go for a run. Just boost those endorphins.
Leave it on the pavement is what we say.
Yeah,
but
go put that stress out.
Yeah, but
for our kids, we had a trampoline.
Oh, yeah,
and
you did.
So when I could just tell that it was just tense and tight, I was like, please, go, you need to go out on the trampoline. You need 30 minutes out on, no, just go out on the trampoline, give it 30 minutes. And it was amazing, the transformation and the difference.
Right. So we're talking about how do you grow this window of tolerance so that you can handle the demands of reality. And a key part is really like increasing this idea of happiness. So these are some physical things. But Lisa, I'm thinking about a little mental game that I kind of play is that, and I learned this from Dan Sullivan in a workshop, is that a lot of times I'm here and I'm trying to get there. And my problem a lot of times is I have all these theirs, right? It's like, I want to lose this weight, or I want to do this accomplishment, I want to get this project done, I want to have whatever I want to have, right? I want to have this, right? So I'm here and I'm trying to get somewhere, trying to get there. And the problem is that there is actually an illusion. You never get there, right? Because as soon as I get it, it's no longer there, it's here. Right. So I never get there. But when I'm always in that mindset of trying to get somewhere, trying to get there, it sort of fuels sort of this discontent. It does not help my happiness. And so the little trick that I've kind of played with myself mentally is I'm already there, right? I'm already there. And I'm just trying to increase where I am. I'm just trying to grow my window of tolerance where I already am. And I think that kind of helps me get off the treadmill and get off that hamster wheel of activity and thinking that it's about activity.
And I think that's part of how you boost your serotonin, because boosting your serotonin is all about the physical experience of being where you are, and present. And that's how all of those physical things play into boosting our serotonin.
Well, and isn't it true, like when you're growing your window of tolerance, it's really about being more present? Right. And it kind of drives into the second idea of how do you do it is really reducing shame. Now, this is an interesting idea. And when we first discovered it, I really kind of researched it out. And really shame could be any kind of disappointment. I'm disappointed. I'm carrying like these bags of disappointment or these rocks of disappointment. Right. And little things can disappoint me. But if I don't know how to process it, they build up. Right? Things like anxiety, disappointment, shame, grief. They can really be compounding emotions. And I had this idea that, if it's a little disappointment, if I got this backpack and it's an empty backpack and I have a little pebble, I throw the pebble in the backpack. I don't process through it. Throw another pebble, Like I can carry 5 or 6 pebbles. I can carry 5 or 6 disappointments, regret, like maybe
wishes. I wish I woulda.
Right. And I can carry 5 pebbles, maybe I can carry 10 pebbles, but if I don't process through it a year later, it's like this backpack is now 500 pounds. Right. And it's heavy, it's weighing me down.
And then you go into Thanksgiving with a backpack full of 500 pounds worth of pebbles.
Well, and then it gets even worse because then something happens, like a trigger. And
your mom looks at you cross-eyed and she didn't even know she was looking at you cross-eyed.
And I just take this bag of 500 pounds and I just throw it on my mom. Right?
Wham.
Wham.
And she has no idea what hit her. And you had no idea you had the capability to hit her that hard with a backpack full of 500 pounds.
Yeah. But what's interesting is my mom can handle a pebble, right? She can handle an ounce. Right. But she can't handle 500 pounds. And how many times does that happen with people is that our window just starts to shrink and shrink and shrink. And so part of the key is like really processing through disappointments. And so Lisa, I just thought about it. Let's put the disappointment navigator in the show notes. So it is a process of learning how to process through disappointments. And one thing that a practice that have done, and I really want to get back to it a little bit, Lisa, is processing grief every day. Right? Because I think...
And that's like disappointments, just processing things
losses,
that you're just kind of disappointed about.
Right?
Yeah, like, shoot, I was thinking it was going to go differently.
Yeah, and keeping your disappointments current. Because the problem is if you just stuff it, put it in your backpack, and you don't process through it, then
you're going to throw up all over your spouse or your kids or your mom.
Right, and it really limits your window of tolerance. Because I even saw in my life, Lisa, is that I came to this point where I didn't have a lot of energy. Didn't have a lot of energy, didn't have a lot of excitement, was almost a little risk averse. And it was because I didn't have my disappointments processed through. And so not because you're going to get disappointed, like you're going to have missed expectations. This is life. Right?
Things are going to go wrong.
Yeah, life has a loss, but if you don't know how to process through it, and so part of what we've discovered is, first of all, just name it. And just be very clear on what it is and just call it for what it is. Hey, I'm really sad that we didn't hit that sales goal. I'm really disappointed that I forgot to call my mom this weekend. I'm sad that
I'm super bummed out.
Right. I'm bummed out that I was kind of snarky last night at 8:00.
I know. I was bummed out too.
I know, bummed me out too. It didn't bum me out till this morning, right? But and so just naming it, what it is, and then having a conversation, processing through it.
Yeah.
And finding out, hey, what do you need? And that's what the disappointment navigator does, is it really helps you grow your window of tolerance so that you can process through that. And then here's the key thing, that you can learn from it. Because a lot of times we have these things and we don't learn from it. And the value of every experience is literally what you learn from the experience. And so, Lisa, the way I come to looking at it is that experience is like research and development. It's just research. I had this experiment, or I had this experience. Gosh, what did I learn from it? And then when you look out at the future, isn't the future more like, so the past is about an experience and the future is about an experiment. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're going to try this, right? Because my future is, in my goals, a little bit are my best guesses and bets, right? So it's like my past is an experience and my future is an experiment. Now, when I hold those two things like that, I hold them very loose. I don't get really in control, right? Because if it's an experiment, it could go wrong.
Yeah.
Could not work well. It could not work right. And so, but I'm okay with that, because all scientists know, hey, if this is an experiment, then hey, it's probably not going to work. And we're going to learn. That's the key. We're going to learn. So our experiences, we learn from our experiences, and we learn from our experiment. But if you don't put that right frame on those things, you end up trying to control. It's like I'm mad and angry and shameful and regretful and feel guilty about the past. And then I'm anxious, worried, concerned about the future. Got all this fear of the future. Right. So I got these two sort of driving emotions that really limit my window of tolerance.
And then you just keep ratcheting up that roller coaster of the window of tolerance when you're carrying all of these heavy things. And at some point you're going to come to capacity, and you're just going to kind of lose it. Or you're going to realize, you'll be going down so far down, and it's like you just shut down.
Well, isn't it people feel like their life is a roller coaster when their window of tolerance is very limited, right? It goes above that window and goes below that.
Yes. So people feel like their life is a roller coaster when
in reality,
when the window of tolerance is limited, because they're feeling those really high highs and those really low lows, and they're having a hard time keeping it in control. When in reality, life truly is we'll just call them rolling hills. When you're within your window of tolerance. When you're within your window of tolerance, life feels like rolling hills. When you go outside of your window of tolerance, or your window of tolerance goes narrower, then you feel like you are like at the top of Mount Everest, and then all of a sudden you're down into the deepest, I don't even know what's deep in the ocean, and it just feels like this huge elevation change, because your tolerance level is narrower.
Well, and then I think what happens with people, Lisa, is that we get mad at the roller coaster. It's the roller coaster's fault.
The roller coaster of life.
If this was not a roller coaster, if it was just steady, right? If all these outside circumstances would just be different, right? Then my life would be perfect.
Well, and then that's when people begin to reach for substances,
for sure.
to try to numb the highs, to bring them down, and to bring up the lows.
Yeah.
And then that's also when people unfortunately attempt suicide, because it's so out of control, they feel like they can't handle it. And so when we don't stay feeling like, hey, I've got this, that's when really difficult things start to happen within our lives. And so we want to widen this window as wide as possible so we can actually handle what life throws us, because sometimes life throws stuff at us, and other times we throw stuff in our life. And you just have to be able to go with both of them.
Yeah, Lisa, I think that's why we really, as we're thinking about this podcast today, we really wanted to offer the window, or the Resilient Leader toolbox, because we know we're in the Black Friday, the Thanksgiving, time. And so that's a resource for you to really grow your window of tolerance. Deals with your emotional regulation, deals with your ability to handle aggravation, and your ability to handle procrastination.
Yeah, and we've got a really big
tolerance.
Sale for Black Friday. It's like 65% off, and they're mini courses.
And
So get those and grow your window of tolerance.
Listen,
so
get them
you
for your
don't-
kids, get them for your family,
Yeah.
right? Get them for your coworkers, maybe get them for your team. But it's a great resource because if you have people in your life that, hey, you could really grow your window of tolerance, but it's really hard to have that conversation, right? It's really kind of hard to say that to them. Just get them the tools. Get them, hey, here's a tool, here's a
Get
resource.
the tool, learn it, figure it out, and then teach other people.
Yeah. And so I think the key thing, Lisa, is that when I think about this, the window of tolerance isn't fixed, right? It can continue to grow, and you do it by like figuring out how to increase your happiness and how do you navigate through your disappointments. All right, really two. We're going to cover two more in the next podcast. So stay tuned and, keep listening. But we want to cover these two because this window of tolerance, it's a big idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you like this content, this information, please share it with someone you know that this could really help, that they're struggling with needing to maybe increase their window of tolerance, and like the podcast, subscribe, just so you can continue to get it to your inbox. And please let us know if we've said something and you're like, man, that was super helpful. It would help us know that how you found it helpful and how you were able to use it.
Yeah, Lisa, so we talked about increasing your happiness, right? These 4 different chemicals.
These chemicals within our bodies. This is scientific stuff. It's not, woo-woo. This is real. They've done studies on it.
So what are you going to do to sort of increase your dopamine, your oxytocin, your serotonin, and your endorphins, right? 4 chemicals that you actually have power over to increase. Yeah. And I think that's the key. And then how do you navigate through disappointment? How do you process through this guilt and this regret and this disappointment and these missed expectations?
And these being hard on yourself over it.
Yeah. And so Lisa, I think my key takeaway today is I'm going to get back to processing grief every day. I sort of kind of got away from it over the last couple months. And I want to just bring it back to the forefront of my mind because I have disappointments that happen every day. And if I'm not careful, as my backpack can kind of get a little heavy, and I want to continue to increase my window of tolerance.
Yeah, and I love that this is just continues to remind us to be aware of what's going on in our day-to-day and our minute, but also to be aware that other people are dealing with life things. Some people just have a narrow window of tolerance because they just haven't learned to grow it, and other people are going through things, and it's to have empathy and compassion and containment for someone that's honestly, they're kind of losing it because they just don't have control, and coming alongside them and just being a support for them.
Yeah. So we're grateful for you. We appreciate you listening. Just like the podcast, whether you're listening on YouTube or iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, share it. Just hit the share button and share it with some friends. We'd love to continue to reach people and help people, and we appreciate your help. So I think our work is done. We'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.